It's Josh with Talk About Trek, and we're back today having just finished up a very interesting Star Trek book, John M. Ford's How Much for Just the Planet. Looking at the cover, you can see already that you're in for something a little bit interesting, and indeed, this book is definitely something. I will say it is probably maybe one of the funniest Star Trek books I've ever read. Definitely one of the strangest, and it certainly went off the rails at more than one spot. Uh, the other thing was I did. It's not a very long book, but I was busy and I didn't give it like a focused read. So maybe if I did that, I could follow a little bit more and could get into it, better. I did get into it quite a bit, and it was good, but man, was it just a little bit weird. First off, more songs than I've ever seen in any Trek book. I would say maybe something like 10 musical numbers in the book, so that's interesting. And again, just lots of almost like taking scenes from classic movies, taking scenes from Broadway, and putting the TOS characters into like those situations. That's kind of what I felt like the author was doing, and he did a great job of it. And again, I was laughing so much at this book; it was very good. Let's just dive right into the back here. How much for just the planet? Dilithium in crystalline form, the most valuable mineral in the galaxy. It powers the Federation's starships and the Klingon Empire's battle cruisers. Now, on a small, out-of-the-way planet named Duridi, the greatest fortune in dilithium crystals has ever seen has been found. Under the terms of the Organian Peace Treaty, the planet will go to the side best able to develop the planet and its resources. Each side will contest the prize with the prime of its fleet. For the Federation, Captain James T. Kirk and the Starship Enterprise. For the Klingons, Captain Caden and the Vesti Operae. Captain Caden, Vesti Operae, and the Fire Blossom. Only the Duridians are writing their own script for this contest, a script that propels the crew of the Enterprise in one of their strangest adventures yet. Indeed. Indeed, it was a strange adventure. So this was, again, this is TOS number 36 in the numbered series, written by John M. Ford and published in 1987. So, the book, again, it's kind of written in a kind of a strange way. Again, you usually don't see a lot of musical numbers and stuff like that in your Star Trek books, but I think that he did it well. And all right, before we dive into just talking about the book, let's just kind of get it all out there, kind of the good, the bad, and everything in between. It's a funny book. It's a funny book, and it takes and puts basically what it does is it takes a Starfleet officer, pairs them up with a Klingon officer, and then puts them into a silly situation. And this happens with Sulu and McCoy, and they're teamed up with someone. Chekhov and Mr. Scott have their little adventure. Uhura has an adventure with a Klingon that's particularly interesting and kind of lends towards the whole movie aspect of this book. And then, of course, you have like the main story, which is Captain Kirk and the ambassador, who's kind of in charge of the whole situation, against the Captain Caden and Rish, who's like the kind of the ambassador position on the Klingon side. So like that's kind of like the main focus of the book is what's going on there, and you can almost tell immediately when you get down to the planet that there's something going on here. I mean, obviously, when everybody starts breaking out into song, you know that something a little bit weird's going on, but they do drop little hints here and there that they're not exactly who and what they say they are. So there's a lot of new and side characters that are thrown in as well, so it gives you a lot more to keep track of. But if you can do that and kind of follow all the fun little stories, you've got yourself an interesting little Trek book that just kind of leans into, I don't know, song and dance and fun and comedy and slapstick. Uh, Pie fights. Yes, I said pie fights. They fight with pies in this because then they can't fight with phasers or batleths. So uh, it was weird, but if you're looking for something different, you love the Trek books and you want something new, something fun, and also maybe if you're a fan of Broadway and that kind of stuff, definitely read this. One thing that I found I was having fun doing was reading the musical numbers and then trying to figure out if the author pulled that, at least pulled like the melody or something from another song. And I know that he must have did that in more than one case, but I was only able to. There was one that was just so easily identifiable that I could actually put on the music and then kind of sing the song as it's written to kind of get into the whole thing. So that was fun, and again, something new for a Trek book. So yeah, definitely, if you're looking for something fun, get into this. And if you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching now, because I'm just going to kind of rant and rave about the book from here on. So the book starts out with, strangely, like these replicator problems, and I swear I don't think they ever even go into detail about why it's happening. But all across the different ships that are involved here, which is the survey ship, which is out looking for dilithium, the Enterprise, and then the Fire Blossom. All three ships are having trouble with the color of their food. Green orange juice, or maybe blue orange juice, and green toast, and other things like that. And just kind of a weird thing that happens, and I can't think that they ever explain it. Or maybe they did and I missed it in all the wackiness. But basically, the story starts out with the USS Jefferson Randolph Smith. It's a survey ship, it's looking for dilithium, and it has found some on this planet Deidre. The computer on this ship is a little wacky. In fact, the whole crew, this like small crew of 3, which has been in space for a long time, is maybe a little wacky as well. So you have Captain Trovomoff, and she's a human, a very strange kind of sloppy Vulcan, Tavau, and then a bird-like person, Telahu. So anyway, they've discovered this planet with this huge quantity of dilithium. They need to inform the Federation before the Klingons find it, so they can lay claim or whatever to it. But they already detect, I think, the Klingons coming in, so the computer decides it has only one choice. It has to do this super fast maneuver to get out of Dodge and get back to report. But in order to do that, they've got to get everyone in an escape pod and get them out of there. So the 3 crew members eject down to the planet, and then the ship, ran by the computer, blasts towards the Enterprise. The Enterprise, meanwhile, is currently performing this kind of test maneuver where they're testing the deployment practice something. Basically a giant inflatable starship. So they're out in space and they kind of pop this thing open and it fills up, and it's just a kind of makes a sensor reading of a giant star, a normal starship, even though it's just a big inflatable. Again, this book is weird, right? So this is kind of a strange thing, but it's like a practice test that they're doing. But the ship arrives, the Jefferson Randolph Smith arrives, speeding really fast, demanding that basically they are allowed to enter right into the shuttle bay. And of course the Enterprise says, no, you can't do that, we'll put a tractor on you and bring you in. But they're worried they're going to be destroyed by the computer is worried or whatever. But anyway, so they're coming in with the Klingons coming in fast behind them. So as the Klingons are coming in, they're kind of scanning the situation, see what's going on, and they see, oh no, there's 2 big Federation ships out here. The unmanned ship that's coming in is still not stopping, but as it comes in and they're not able to get a tractor on it in time, and you think it's going to hit the Enterprise. Turns out it was targeting the inflatable ship the whole time. It hits it, it pops it, the inflatable ship disappears. The Klingons think that we got some sort of crazy tech going on now, that we can do something weird like that, and they hightail it out of there. And then, like, I think that's from there we're able to kind of deduce what's going on, and that we need to get to this planet right away to, make a claim for this dilithium. And then on the other hand, you have Captain Caden and his ship. They also know what's going on, and they are being, sent by the Klingon High Command with extractors and everything they need to the planet as well to lay their claim. So there you go. You've got the kind of the whole thing laid out. The Enterprise and the Fire Blossom are both headed towards Dediran, and the people there, and they kind of drop little bits in the chapters here and there that they've been expecting this to be coming for a while, so they enact what's called this Plan C. And this is, I should give names to these people. The characters there who are on the planet are called a Flighter and Estervy. And they are the ones that kind of enact this Plan C here. So when the Klingons and the Federation arrive to the planet, that's when the wackiness in the book really, truly begins. That's when you get your first musical number, when they beam down, and of course everyone greets them with a little bit of song. And it's kind of fun that even after they're greeted, Sulu, Uhura, and Scotty kind of each respond in kind with their own little bit of song. So again, so much song in this book. I looked in here because I was really hoping that there would be more details about this, like, what songs did he get inspiration from throughout this, but maybe online there's more further discussion, but I was only able to identify the one, but I know that there'd be more, and it would just be fun to put a tune to these as you're reading it, So anyway, they're greeted there, they're treated to a fancy diplomatic dinner with all the fixings and everything, and they can already tell that, like, the people here are acting a little strange, and they're wondering, is it in the water, is it the dilithium, what's going on exactly. So they have their fancy meal, and then they are taken to the hotel, and that's when kind of like the main point of the plot is revealed, the main story that they're going to go on, where this Princess Dee Dee and this Pete kind of meet and entreat with Captain Kirk and Charlotte Sanchez, the ambassador, to come up with this plan where they can make Pete look good in front of her parents so that they'll be accepting of him and they can get married. There's a supposed black cat burglar. Like, the whole thing is just very silly, but they agree to help with the plan, and they're going to kind of pull off this scheme later on today where they pretend to get beat up and they pretend Pete saves the day, and it's all very silly and convoluted. But now, again, everybody kind of gets their own little adventure. So I guess the first one really is Sulu wakes up Dr. McCoy, or maybe the other way around. But anyway, they're going to go out and search in kind of an expedition on the planet to see things and maybe search for this treasure that they were talking about at the dinner the night before. And of course, when they go to do that, they meet up with their Klingon counterparts doing the same thing, and thus they begin their little adventure on the planet, where eventually they are found by, like, lizard riders and captured and taken to the Dark Princess, and the Dark Princess is shown to destroy your prisoners and, like, suck their life force out, and it's all very, like, theatrical, and she's singing these, like, ridiculous songs about how she's evil, and just, I mean, like, full on, like, Disney movie kind of Broadway kind of thing. And you can almost, I don't know, like, that, like, they it seems like they know that something's up, so that's the situation they have to get into, and it goes on and on for a bit, and eventually they're able to kind of get to some sort of conclusion to it. Uhura she meets up with her counterpart, the communications officer of the Klingon ship, and they go on their own little adventure where they're like going to this movie theater, and they end up getting chased by these people. Where they go to a shop and they buy this special little loot, and so just again, it's kind of this whole conceived adventure for them to go on, and this. Well, the fun part of that, like this Klingon officer, is a big movie buff. So he's constantly quoting and talking about, old, movies and things like that. So that's kind of fun. But anyway, they have their little adventure where they get arrested and they escape from being arrested and they're running and hiding in a movie theater. And so again, they have their own little thing too that they get to do. So, not to be left out, Chekhov and Mr. Scott, they I think they're out for breakfast or whatever, and they kind of get into a little bit of an argument with their Klingon counterparts, and they challenge them to an honor duel, and they challenge them to an honor duel in golf. So Mr. Scott and this Klingon and Chekhov and his Klingon counterpart have this golf duel where in the middle, after the first 9 holes, they go to like this little bar there where they're treated to another song number. And this is the only one I could identify where it's basically like a robot singing a song to the tune of Just a Gigolo, but he's just an automaton. And it was well done. And at the very end, like the automaton explodes as part of the show, and the head kind of flies off, and I think McCoy catches it, and the guy's like, I ain't got nobody. Yes, it was good. It was it was clever, and again, I liked the songs. I enjoyed the songs. What am I gonna say? So that was good. They resume their golf game, where eventually it comes down to some kind of battle. Like, I don't even remember what the heck was going on, but they end up getting into like a battle, and they end up charging ahead, and I'm not even sure how that resolves. It seems like almost the Sulu and McCoy and the Chekhov and Scotty situation are kind of left open-ended, and then it goes right into the big finale in the hotel room with Kirk and the ambassador and the Klingon counterparts, Kaden and all that. So, and this was, I don't know, maybe one of the funnest parts for me. It reminded me of, I don't know, maybe old Cary Grant movies, just weird kind of mistaken identity, mistaken room number, silliness. They wanted a uniform sent up to this room, it gets sent up to this room. Someone's knocking on the door of this room looking for this person, but this person's in there. They don't have a uniform, so they have to come out in a robe, and it's just like this whole kind of array of silliness at the end that leads up to just anything, just a very comedic climax where kind of everybody is, after everything is all said and done, and I'm not going to go into everything that goes on at the hotel because it's really better read than said, I would say. But after everything is said and done, and they kind of go through the whole hotel thing, the whole climax really comes to in this banquet room with this giant table full of pies. Yes, that's right. That's the big fight in this movie. A giant pie fight between the whole Klingon side, the whole Federation side. Everybody's going crazy throwing pies at each other. And then it's revealed at the end that basically they were on like a freaking like a reality show. Like the whole thing was just a setup from the get-go. Just for fun, maybe. I don't know. At the end, they determined they're basically going to, or the planet determined they're going to join the Federation, but the Klingons get the mining rights. So it's kind of like a 50-50 compromise. But the fun in the book was just the wackiness that went on throughout. And it was just, again, one of those situations where, I don't know, it was just like a kind of like a slapstick comedy situation at the end, where you literally had people getting thrown down laundry chutes, and you have people falling off of fire escapes, and just like the wackiest kind of things going on, with uniforms getting mixed up and ripped up and misplaced, but again, it was just fun, and I found myself laughing a lot more than I normally do in a Star Trek book, and I find myself again wanting to go back to this book, read through these songs, and try to figure out, what is he kind of following? What's the melody here? Because I bet each and every one of these has some sort of inspiration in the real world. So, very good, very fun. There was story threads here that I didn't even get to mention with the three crew members from the original survey ship. They're kind of interspersed throughout, with what they're doing and how they eventually find themselves back on the Enterprise. And then they also have a couple of young kids there as well that get on their own little adventure. So honestly, there is something like maybe six stories wrapped up into this, which is maybe one of the bad points about it. They could have probably lessened some of that and had more focus on the actual silliness of it. Maybe just lean really hard into it, because that's what went well for me. So that's what I would say, and that's actually all I have to say about How Much for Just the Planet. We are moving on to something entirely different. Check this out. That's right. I've yet to read an Enterprise book. So we're jumping into it. We've got A Choice of Futures, Rise of the Federation. I don't know if this is going to be a good spot to jump in, and quite frankly, I don't really care. I'm going to read it because it looks fun. So that's where we're going next. As far as what else we're going to talk about, I don't know. We'll see when the time comes. But thank you so much for listening to me talk about How Much for Just the Planet by John M. Ford. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Live long and prosper. Goodbye.